have now reached the intersection where ideas, beliefs, and perspectives collide. So be free to be you. It's the Crossroads Podcast with your hosts, author, speaker, and transformational strategist, Barzini, and entrepreneur, empowerment coach, and tech diva, Dre Renee. If you're ready to talk love, business, politics, and everything in between, you're in for a ride. Welcome to the Crossroads Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Hunter Grant, your personal agent for change, making life easy, Barzini.
And I'm fempreneur extraordinaire and tech diva all day, Dre Renee.
And this is the Crossroads, where there's only one rule: be free to be you. All right, y'all. So listen, we had a magnificent episode, so good that we had to continue into a part 2 of this conversation with my man Nerd. Nerd is still with us, and we wanted to continue this conversation. I feel like we had a breakthrough.
Yes. And our very first guest, so he is distinguished.
And our very first guest on here. So last episode, I kind of went in, right? But today, and we're continuing. This is part 2 of whatever you like. But this episode, I really want Dre to kind of take the lead on this, and on the perspectives. We were just unpacking so much, and we couldn't pack that into one episode. That's just really what it was. So we wanted to continue this. And while we're talking to Nerd, this is for a lot of people who are watching this to be able to unpack, because so many people are going through the same things. I experienced it. Nerd has experienced it. There's a lot of men. We know a lot of women experience it, but what we don't talk about is a lot of men that experience it, and let alone have safe spaces to just be honest. Like, hey, I'm hurting. I experienced trauma. I've done all these things and it's not been reciprocated. Like just this stuff. And it's real, and we don't get those places to say that without being called sensitive. Oh, you being a bit like let's go. I'm not even going like go. So Nerd, what's your next thoughts? Because we kind of at the end of the last episode, we were talking about a couple of things. So I want you to introduce like the next topic that we were talking about and what you were asking that's leading us into this episode today.
Okay, so since the first episode talked about basically approaching or leading with a plan, right? So what happens in absence of a plan when you are in courtship with a woman, and is it a disqualifier to not have one, or can a woman find something to work with within a man who doesn't have a plan?
Okay. So I do not want to speak in generalities, because even in my own life, that answer has been different. So where I am right now and with my personality, like one of my primary basic need is safety and security. So for me, if there's no plan, I'm out. Like I'm out on myself if I don't have a plan. So definitely somebody else. I'm like, and I'm out sounds extreme. I'm very uncomfortable, right? Like I need to know, even down to us planning this podcast, like Barzini will tell you, like like here's the list. These are the tasks. Check it off. Because, and who's responsible, right? Am I doing this? Are you doing this? Let me check back in, follow up. And so not that I have to be like that in my relationship, but it comes from that same feeling of like, where are we going? And how are we going to get there? Are we going to run out of gas, or, we need extra change? Like, what is it that is required of me so that I'm all in? However, when I was younger, I would say that I was more, even though that was still a part of me, I was more willing to kind of see what happens, right? Or let's talk it through together. So you didn't necessarily have to have the plan and then share with me, but I at least wanted to know that you were interested in making a plan, right? Or, I'm not satisfied with where I am and this is where I want to be. I could work with that, but just complete and total absence of plan, destination, vision, personal development, like just nothing, I can't roll with it. Now, that's not to say that other women wouldn't. Again, I would say at this age, just I've lived more life than what I was just talking about before. So I don't know where women would be comfortable with that either, because also a lot of my peers have children. So then you're in a whole different bracket. Like right now, and my mom says this all the time, like, shoot, if I got to eat bologna and cereal, that's cool. But I'm not doing that for my kid, right? Like I have to be in a whole totally different place. So when women have that extra responsibility, I think they definitely are looking for somebody with a plan. So the younger you are, I think you have the liberty of trying to figure it out. The older we become, something has to be at least an outline. Like there needs to be something, even if you're still in progress.
Okay, well, we in 2020 right now. We live in times of challenging gender roles. You know what I'm saying? What's up with a woman saying, hey, I see this nice corporate financial investor over here that look like they could use someone to be a power couple. Let me go over there and shoot my shot. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily like, they're a young bachelor. I mean, maybe they plan to get married one day, but that's not on their mind right now. Like, is it anything wrong with them just going over there and making some type of approach and making themselves available? What do you feel about that?
For the woman to shoot her shot to this gentleman? No, I feel like, if you know what it is that you want, you're able to identify it and you have the courage to do it. That has not always been my thing. Like, I'm not saying anything to anybody if they don't know, if they can't pick up on my little hints. No. Now, I had to go, I had to stretch myself to get out of that, which is why I'm able to say, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And also identifying a specific type of person that they want to be aligned with. I think that's smart. I mean, why not?
I just seen it work recently. My god sister, who is not an unknown person. She's a celebrity, actually.
Oh my God, I meant to hit you about that. We didn't talk about it a lot. I'm so happy for her.
Yeah, so she's in. So I found out she was actually out here in Houston because he's from Houston.
Okay.
No, he's from LA, but he lives in Houston. And she hit me up, hey, I'm in town. I want you to meet my boyfriend, actually my fiance. No, I said something. She's like, actually, he's my fiance. I was like, wait, what? And she was like, yeah. I was like, when did that happen? She was like, today. Or it was like super recently. And then found out. So whatever trend is, it's another challenge or whatever. They said the how it started and how it's going. That's going on right now. So she posted it, and the how it started. She slid in his DMs, like she's celebrity, actress, singer, blah 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 blah, and slid in the DMs on this dude, and she's engaged. I was like, and I was taken back. So I called my other guy sister, her sister. I was like, oh, we got all the shit to talk. Because before it was, oh, I ain't doing that, and blah. And then once she stepped out of her norm,
gotta be willing to try.
It's I was just like,
yeah,
because I tell the homegirls all the time, hey, shoot your shot. That don't mean that you have to drive the whole situation, but shoot your shot. Shoot your shot, ladies. Shoot your shot.
Yeah, because I guess it's at minimum you're letting him know the door is open so that he can run on through.
And I guess to give a qualifier, shooting your shot does not mean like we don't know that you see us, and sometimes we might see you and might feel we might feel you out of our league. So sometimes shooting your shot is saying, hey, it's okay to talk to me. Like, invite him to talk to you. Mm-hmm. And then if you somebody who wants him to take the lead from there, okay, cool. But shooting your shot in essence is, hey, it's okay to make the first move.
And see, I want to add on to that because I feel like if women did that more, they'll be more successful relationships. Okay?
I agree.
Because
Drake said, I agree, but it ain't me though.
No, I did. That's how I got here. I had to say so because I think we would have just been, hey, how you doing for the rest of life?
Yeah, because your fiance, he's a different breed.
Yeah, we would have just been having regular old.
Because he's so black and white.
How's it going?
You didn't say you like me, so I didn't say nothing. I thought we was just being cool.
Absolutely. So I agree. Go ahead, nerd.
And see, because the feminine versus masculine approach is always more successful. That's why strip clubs are more successful with women than men, right? Because it's the seduction that's a part of it. You know, you feel like you being sold into something, but it don't feel like it. You know, like I was at the bar the other day, and I was on the phone chopping up with my boy, and I was hearing this woman talk about like event planning or something going on while I was on the phone. So I got on my phone conversation. And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt." I'm like, "No, it's not like you talking about money. I want to have a conversation with you." She was like, "Oh, okay, let's get some shots. You buying?" And I was like, "Wait, hold up now." Because you created the environment and asked for shots, but now you want me to spend my money. But then I was like, you know what? Because I know that that's going to be a valuable conversation, I'll go ahead and spend this little cash. Okay. And she did it just like that. And she sat down and she's like, you know what? I could have got my shot on my own if you didn't get it in the first place. I just want to see if you would do it. You know, and it's that I don't know how like y'all could do it, but it just works every time. You know, that's how you get talked into the lap dance room for about an hour and spending $200. You know what I'm saying? And I just think it works. I don't know why. Like it's just not. I'm not gonna say like it's not the norm, but I just don't know why it's not normalized as much.
I mean, because she led without leading. Like she fashioned the situation to where she opened the door for you, but it still benefited her. And did it in such a way to where it didn't feel offensive. Because number one, all right, let me ask you, she was attractive, wasn't she?
Yes.
So that conversation wasn't about money. Because if she was ugly, you wouldn't have cared about her. Let's keep it a buck. Keep it a buck. If she was ugly, she looked good. You know what I mean? So, and you probably haven't called her about not near event. You ain't doing no event right now, probably. Right. You know what I mean? So it was about her. I want to get to know her. And so she used her, and she was like, "Hey, I'm also interested in you. So here you go. Or let me see how interested in me you really are." You know? So I think everybody kind of has their game. You got to like, okay, I'm gonna share a move that I used to do at the club, right? And it worked every time. So it's like standing off in the distance and you see somebody who you want to talk to, but you don't just actually go in. It's like it's clearing the path. So it's always the woman that a lot of dudes want to talk to. You know what I mean? And so you watch her because she's going to reject most of them. So you watch her, but don't be a creep about it. You know, watch her without watching her. Mm-hmm. Watch her. And as soon as you see her reject somebody, like from a distance, and you see that gracious, like, oh, no, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Or whatever. It's not that she didn't want to get hollered at. She didn't want to get hollered at by him. So I would do this, right? Now after she rejects, I'm making sure I'm looking because I want to make eye contact now, right? And as soon as we make eye contact, I'll be like, "Why you?" And she's like, and I go over there. Why you do him like that? That was cold. What? What you mean? And now she's laughing, and now conversation is going on. But I was like, she was like, "Nah." I was like, "Well, what did he say?" Well, he said this is okay. Like, bet. All right. So what should he have said? And then she'll say what he should have said, and then I say it, and then she'll be like, "Oh, that's cute." Listen. It's corny. Like corny works. Like overly corny works.
Does work.
So it's like super corny, but it's like that was corny, but it was cute. Like she do the corny but cute thing, and you like you know. And now it's like, all right, bet. Like it did work with him, but like, can I tell you some more corny jokes? Get the like whatever. Buy her. And now you're kind of in there, but it's a creative approach. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, I can't say unique because I used it for years.
Hey.
And I might have some friends
broke,
like
don't
this.
Fix it.
Listen, it might be some women out there that I used to talk to watching this right now, but like, that's exactly how he
Surprise!
Like, y'all got the game now. I can't even use that word no more. It's out.
You'll get hit up about it later.
All right. Oh, hey, the DMs is probably
In
gonna
the
go up.
DMs.
The DMs is about to go up on that one.
Right. Okay. So I wanted to shift because Barzini, you had mentioned in one of your points, you was like, well, the woman has a purpose too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how am I invested in that?
Mm-hmm.
But if the roles were reversed, like, could a successful relationship happen with a woman leading with a purpose to give to a man? And, you know, say like the woman is very successful, she's hitting six figures, and, you know, she just wants like that, I say the man who gives like the provider benefits, you know what I'm saying, loyalty and comfort and stuff, but maybe they're like a stay-at-home type of person. Like, could that type of relationship work?
That depends on the individual. Like, listen, like it's my view, there is no template to love or relationship. Like, who is anybody to look at someone else's relationship and say you're doing it wrong? You know what I mean? You
all
don't
the
get
people on Facebook, all the
yeah,
philosophers.
yeah. All these people. Oh, you know. Oh, if he don't do this and if she don't do that, like, no. Are you happy? Like, because you like, okay, if you staying at home, you don't work, and she's making the money, and you staying at home. The question is, bro, are you happy? Are you happy? And do you make her happy? Is she happy? And if you guys are happy and it works for you, do that shit. Like, who's this? You feel me? Do it. Can't nobody tell you that y'all are doing your relationship or marriage wrong while they sitting out here miserable, doing it right. Like, you know, there's no one way to do this. You feel me? You got people who the woman makes the bulk of the money. Maybe he's staying at home, or maybe he makes a little bit. Like, there are just certain occupations or purposes that pay more than others. You know, she might be the CEO of a company, and he could be a preschool teacher. But are you happy in what you do? Are you fulfilled in your purpose? Because you got cats that's making a whole lot of money, but they miserable, and they come home and make they family miserable because they stressed, high anxiety. Like, there's a lot that comes with that. So are you one happy with you and what you do in your life? And if you are, and y'all are solid, it don't matter what anybody thinks. It can't matter, because as soon as you start letting what other people think matter in your relationship, that's when it's going to die. Now, if you are like, hey, she wants you to stay at home while she's making the money, and you like, well, that's not the kind of man I am. I don't feel fulfilled in that. That's not what makes me happy. Then don't sign up for that. You know what I mean? And I'd probably look at you like, bro, what? You doing what? Like, I'll have opinions, but you know, but at the end, you got to shut out that noise. You have to shut all that out, you know, because if your woman is like, hey, I'm happy with you doing this, and or hey, why don't you stay home and build your dream? Matter of fact, one of my mentors was like that. He was working, but he was a graphic artist, and he wanted to start his own business. And he was like, babe, I hate my job, you know, but I can't quit, because she's like, who said? She's like, just quit. I got us. Go. You quit and go start your own business. And he was like, wait, what? And that's exactly what he did. And it's super. And then he started making more money than her. But she supported that. Like, this is what I want you to be happy and pursue what makes you happy. I got this. Now, if she wasn't walking in her purpose and stuff like that, would she have been able to do that? Absolutely not. But so both of you being in purpose, like for me, I can't date a woman who doesn't have her own thing going. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the type, hey, give me something to support. What do you do? You know, I'm doing me, and I want you to support that. But I also want to get behind you. I want to go like, hey, when I'm out with my people and I'm the forefront, I want you to know how to move with me. Like, hey, you know when to move like with me. But when we with your people, I'm the background to your foreground. I want to big up you. Like, oh man, I'm so proud of her. Like, hey, so what? Nah, tonight it's about her. Like, I'm decoration. You know what I mean? And so it's just that synergy. You know what I mean? And so it's like, bro, forget. Can't nobody. The simple answer: can't nobody tell you doing it wrong. Period. If you happy, ain't no such thing as wrong. If you making her happy, are you making her happy?
And I would just add, don't even tell anybody what you're doing. So that
because that ain't their business. That ain't their
just live.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not their business. If you want to tell them, cool. If you don't, it ain't their business what y'all do.
Right. Or feeling compelled to do something because you're matching up your situation with somebody else. Like we all know social media is just strung together highlights, and we don't know what is really going on with people. So I definitely would echo that. Like if you're happy, your partner is happy, you both are willing to do what it takes to get to that desired end, like rock it out, even if it is unconventional or if, you know, the gender roles are switched or whatever. Like, yeah, at the end of the day, it's about what works for you in your relationship. I absolutely agree with that.
Do you feel it's better to be, and I know you probably will say it's relative, but you know, for the sake of the argument, do you feel it's better to be a power couple, or do you feel it's better that one person is, I would say, I'm just going to use a little more dominant in the relationship, and the other person like works with that, because I found that a lot of people in the dating pool that I'm involved in right now want to be like a power couple, right? But it's more so of the idea of it, like a Beyonce and Jay-Z or Michelle Obama and Barack, you know, but they don't understand that one person is gonna have to be a shift. Like one person's gonna have to be strong in this one, and someone is gonna have to be weak in that one, and it's gonna be vice versa. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure exactly what we mean by power. Like both of them are public figures. They both make a certain amount of money. All of the above might be. I would say generally, just what you said. Two people can be at the top of their game, whatever that is. I think it's great for people to come together like that. Then you have more resources to be able to do the things that you want to do and make an impact and blah, 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 blah. But the reality is at the house, there has to be some sort of like everybody can't be at the top. Right. And so I think Jeannie Mai, yeah, here I go back to reality. Jeannie Mai and Jeezy. Right. Mm-hmm. So are they considered a power couple? I don't know. Maybe he's more popular than she is, but depending on who you ask, maybe. And so her thought process, I think she tweeted it or maybe on YouTube, like, you know, I'm going to be, you know, submissive to my man and so on and so forth. And so people are all up in arms about it. But I understood, right? Like even as a type A woman, I don't want to do that all the time. Like I know what my purpose is. I know what works for me when I'm outside, when I'm going after it, when I'm making it happen. But when I come inside, I don't want to make all the decisions. That's just me. I can't speak for all women. I don't want to make all the decisions. I don't want to carry everything. I told my dude early on, I'm marrying, so I don't ever, and this is jokes, but serious. Not. I don't ever want to carry the 24 or 36 pack of water ever again. And I don't want to take out the trash. So I'm okay with being a woman and being in the kitchen or whatever that means if I don't have to do that stuff. Right. So yes, I believe that two people can be powerful in their own rights, but respecting one another and then determining what does that look like when we're at home. Or when the lights go out, right? Like what is our dynamic at home? And again, that can only be determined by those two people. So I do see what you're saying in terms of a power shift, if you will, whether that's externally, everybody's doing their thing, even externally, like Barzini said, if we're out and it's your event or it's your industry, even though I might be Michelle Obama, who is bomb.com, Barack Obama is the president of the United States or was the president of the United States. And so if we are in some sort of political boop-de-bam, it's about the president.
Oh, yeah. You are his fiance because that is so his word.
Oh, whoop-de-bam?
The whoop-de-bam. Oh, the shared lexicon now.
Yeah.
You going to the whoop-de-bam?
He's the president. But if we are in, you know, well, I guess they both kind of overlap sometimes, but when we all vote, which, you know, she helped to start, or if we're talking about, you know, healthy lifestyle for children, wherever she is in the forefront, then he doesn't show up as 44. He shows up as Michelle's husband. And so I think there needs to be, you know, mutual respect outside and then determining what that looks like inside.
And to that point, I was going to make a point about Michelle and Barack, because when we talk about who's dominant, or like which one defines the power couple, like somebody's going to be more dominant, I think we mistake the person who's in the forefront as the dominant figure. We forget Michelle was already in a position of power when she met Barack. Like, she was his supervisor. And so there was a joke. So Joel Osteen, it's an old joke, but I heard Joel Osteen say it first. He was talking about I think it was like a parade. And there was like a new mayor. This man won the mayoral election, and then he's in the car with his wife and stuff like that. And she saw an old boyfriend at the parade or something like that. And the mayor turns to her, see, and he was like, you know, not doing well and stuff like that. And she was like, see, you see what you could have been if you would have married him. And she was like, no, had I married him, he would be the mayor. So it's when she met Barack, she met him driving a car with a hole in the bottom. And at the bottom, she didn't marry the president of the United States. Do you see what I'm saying? He was nowhere near that. She married the community organizer who was doing that for free. Then he became the president of the Harvard Law Review, and then, you know, local office, and then Senate. Like, she was there for the whole thing, you know. So we don't know what was happening in the background. And could he do that with a weak woman, a woman that didn't have vision, a woman who wasn't already in that position, who is accomplished by her own right, Princeton, and like, she's powerful in her own right, and then was strong enough to play the background to his foreground for 8 years. She lent him to us for 8 years. And then we had to give him back. And that's when she was like, okay, you did your thing, my turn to be in the forefront. And now she's touring and writing books and everything else. You know what I mean? And so it was a partnership. Like, hey, okay, I'm going to take my turn, you take your turn. And her turn, by all measures, is going to be a lot longer than his turn. He can't be president of the United States. Like, he's reached the pinnacle already. Like, where do you go from president of the first black president of the United States? He's did it. And then it's like, okay, so he has no choice but to play the background now, you know. And even when he was in office, she was still in the forefront doing things. Like, it was still like, no, Michelle. There are a lot of women who take false credit for the man's accomplishments. Michelle Obama is not one of them. I've not met them a day in my life, but I just, you know, and I made a post about it. I'll find it. But there was a post that it was a story that I wrote called The Look. And when Barack was given his last, I think it was his last State of the Union, and he was like acknowledging his people, and his last acknowledgement, he looked at this woman and gave her the look to end all looks. And all he said was, Michelle. And he just paused. And it was like this little crooked smile that just said everything that he possibly feels about this woman. And just like everybody just stood up and like applauded her. Like, it was, I could only just dream of having a woman to feel that way about, and just say it all in the look that he gave her. It said, thank you. I love you. You the shit. When we get home tonight, like, just all of it in a single look. But it was like a culmination of all the years and everything they endured and everything they went through and everything they accomplished that came to this one moment. And it's like, it's about to be a shift. And it was like, girl, it's your turn. Like, you know what I mean? And he's perfectly okay with it. It ain't no, oh, me, what I'm gonna do now? Like, no, it's like, hey, baby, like, I done did it. I'm tired. Go ahead. I got you. You know what I mean? So for me and my purview, I feel like she is and always has been the dominant one, just because he achieved the highest position that you can achieve. He was positioned to do that, or that was his purpose. But that doesn't mean he was the dominant of the two.
So then you feel like if he didn't acknowledge that she had that purpose, then he would have never got to that point.
I don't think he needed to acknowledge she was just in her purpose. That's just who she was. She didn't need him to define her. You know what I'm saying? She was who he was, and because of who she was, he was able to become who he became. Now, I'm not saying she made him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I feel like she helped pave the way for him to achieve his purpose. Like, we all need that help. Like, what man doesn't want a woman like that? You know what I mean? To make it easier and to give that allowance. Like, how do you sit and tell a woman, I want to be the president of the United States? And she was like, if you don't take your ass to work, you know, like, for a woman to say, you want to be what? Okay, let's go. We don't know at what point Barack decided, hey, this is what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? What we do know is that she conceded to it. And it's like, okay, let's go. Knowing full well what it meant. Full well. She knowing what was going to come at them, knowing what they were going to have to endure. Not only on the campaign trail, but in the presidency itself. Like, she gave him to us for 8 years. Imagine being without your partner for 8 years, like living in the public. Like, she couldn't go to remember that. I think it was a video where she just wanted to go to Target. Mm-hmm. And the Secret Service was like, no, you can't. Like, you tell a black woman she can't go to Target. You know what I mean? So I just think it's phenomenal. I think she's phenomenal, you know. And I used to always tell my homegirls, it's like, they talk about, oh, where's my Barack? Are you Michelle? Like, are you truly willing to do and sacrifice what she sacrificed? Successful by her own. She, like, neither one of them needed each other to be great, but they achieved greatness because they came together. Like, together, they're far more what they would have been individually. But, like, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to do the work that she did and sacrifice what she sacrificed to have your Barack? And what we don't know is when the doors close, how much Barack gets on her nerves or what they go through or what they argue about. They're not the perfect couple. You know, can you endure his bullshit? You know, how many times behind closed door did he go, what woman? I'm the president. You know what I mean? We don't know that. Does it seem like he would do that? We don't know. But when the cameras and the mics are off, like Andrew said, when the lights go out, like, who are you?
Right. And to a tidbit, let's talk about the man kind of being submissive to a woman's dominance or to a woman's purpose, right? Because I feel that a man who is dominant or in a leadership role can be a help or a hindrance. So to the point you made, which was a great point, and I never really thought about that. Like, there are some times where Barack had to, you know, pass the baton off and decrease himself, deflate his ego a little bit, so then, you know, the partnership could progress, right? But is that something that a lot of men are ready to do right now who want that? Or what does that look like in functional relationships? Like, Drea, for your partnership, you know, what ways does, you know, your partner help or add value to what it is that you're doing in your entrepreneurship effort?
I would say that it has been a different ride being in this relationship as far as being an entrepreneur than it has in the past, because this is absolutely the first time that I feel fully supported, not just in like, oh, I got your back, but actually seeing things happen even without me asking, because I'm not even that type of person. Like, I'm not going to say like, I need your help with such and such and so. And he has done everything from, you know, brainstorming and letting me bounce ideas, kind of coming up with the what if scenarios, to listening to me vent, you know, especially if something didn't necessarily go well, or if I ended up in an encounter with somebody, to literally investing in what it is that I'm doing. So for me, and I don't know how much you know about what I do, but live video, training is like a large part of it. So I'm online and going live and have been doing that for years. But, I just thought like, hey, turn the camera on, start talking to people, and the value is in your message. I never really thought about a lot about the presentation because I'm a person that executes really fast. So if I had to think about like, what does my background look like? What does my lighting look like? What does the microphone look like? I probably would have never got started, right? Or it would have taken that much longer. So I pulled the trigger. Well, he's the one that's looking at the videos, which also blew me away because I don't think I've ever had anybody really follow my training and then be able to call me and say, oh, I love what you talked about today. Or I forwarded your video to my frat brother because he's looking for somebody to do X, Y, and Z. In a relationship. Excuse me. Let me qualify that. Okay. I've not had that in a relationship or somebody that called themselves interested in me. And, he said one day, just out of the blue, we're talking about something else. And he's like, so what do you need to make your setup look more professional? And I was like, I ain't never thought about it. I don't know, and he's like, okay, well, let me know and call me back. And literally, I'm like, well, I think I don't really need this, but I could use this. And the next thing I know, stuff was showing up at my door. So, and he's probably going to get angry because he doesn't do things and like a lot of recognition, but it literally, things like that, just knowing that somebody cares is super awesome, but also someone that will go ahead and do something, whether it's financially or whether it's with their own effort, or even being willing to give up their time with you because they know you have meetings or they know you have a speaking engagement or you're working on a book or whatever. Like, I applaud the support systems, right? Whether you're powerful in your own right or not, which he is. Like, he has a very demanding career, but to still find time to support the person that you're with or the person that you love, that is awesome. And it takes that person to the next level. Like, would I have not been successful without him? I was already successful, but would I be doing it this way? Would I be able to do it with this ease, with this confidence, without like wrecking my brain every 5 minutes? No. That's what, he has been able to provide. And someone in that position provides their partner. It's literally the elevation. It's, I know that you're able to do whatever, because that's within your purpose. That's your talent. That comes from inside of you. But the way you execute it, what that takes from you personally, having that person next to you to kind of shoulder that, once you've poured everything out, to be the person to replenish that, like, that's the dopeness. That's where you get into that real partnership. And for someone who is doing that and they're making things happen on their own, they really need to be applauded. But even for the folks who are like, I am going to be your second in command, you can't really buy that anywhere. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, that's actually kind of tripped out. And it takes, let me ask you this. I had difficulty with it and still do largely, especially being me and nerds. You can kind of like chime in on this. But Dre, did you ever feel, was it ever difficult for you to receive that kind of love and support? Because it's so foreign. It's like, there's a term that I call loving barefoot, right? And what that means, I was talking to a good friend of mine and we were talking about relationships, and she was like, it's hard. She doesn't trust because no matter how good something is, she's always waiting for the other shoe to drop. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, I love you with no shoes on. Oh, so it's like there is no, like with our friendship, there is no other shoe that's going to drop. I just love you, period. You know what I mean? And so that I started saying that, like, love barefoot, which means there is, like, this is what it is. This is who I am. This time I'm always going to love you. There is no other shoe to drop. So don't worry about that. Mm-hmm. And so loving someone barefoot, it's learning how to receive love is also a form of love that a lot of people have not mastered. Some people don't know how to receive compliments. Like, I'm a gas man, and I have, like, I don't care who you are. If you're my friend, like, whatever, I'm a gas you. If you good at something, whatever you good at, I'm pumping you up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If we meet somebody else, if we put like, hey, this is my man Nerd. You ever heard him spit? Hey, boy. Even though I spit too, it ain't about like no, like yeah, I spit, but have you heard Nerd? Hey, spit something right quick. Spit something. Go ahead, give him some. You know what I'm saying? So even with Dre, I'm like, hey, what you need? Hey, holla at my girl Dre. She gonna get you right. All the social media stuff. Oh, I got somebody. Let me put you on real quick. You know what I mean? And I believe in that. And some people, I do it so much so that people wonder if it's even genuine. And it is. You know what I mean? It's like I just want people to recognize their greatness. You know what I'm saying? And walk in it, so much so that it can be misinterpreted for arrogance. It's I just find it problematic that people expect you to believe them when they tell you you're great, but don't expect you to tell it to yourself and also believe it. It's like, if you were talking down, people like, don't do that. You need to believe in yourself. Stop all that self-doubt. Stop all it, right? And when they're saying, you're like, they expect you to be like, but if you walk around be like, hey, I'm great, I'm the shit, which is why we talk about Kanye. You know what I mean?
Classic case.
We say like we always, he's so this, but perhaps Kanye never had someone that celebrated him, so he decided to do it for himself. Why do you need to wait for someone to celebrate you?
Right.
Do you think Kanye is ever going to need somebody to celebrate him? He takes the attitude like, oh, you not going to do it? Bet. I got it myself. Don't trip. Hold my beer. Watch this. You see what I'm saying? And it works for him. Like, you give me Kanye money any day. Minus his mix, like he's clinically bipolar. You can keep that, but you know what I mean? He's willing to accept that for his level of success. But for me, people call me arrogant all the time, and I have to accept that because to me, the alternative is self-doubt. Right. And when someone calls me arrogant, I'm like, well, if you knew what I knew about me, you would celebrate me too. You know what I mean? I'm just not going to wait for somebody else to tell me I'm great. My daddy's told me my whole life, and I decided to believe him. I have a multitude of people in my life that tell me I'm great, and I decided to believe them. And so if anybody wants to call me arrogant, I'll tell them it's y'all fault. You shouldn't have expected me to believe you. Was you lying when you told me I was great? So are you a liar? Because if you're not a liar, then you expected me to believe what you said. But now I'm believing what you said, and it's a problem?
Yeah.
No.
They just don't want you to verbalize it. You can believe it, just be quiet.
Believe it, but don't say it. And then you have to think about that. Why? You know what I mean? And so it goes into that quote from Marianne Williamson, A Return to Love. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that others won't feel insecure around you. You're meant to shine as children do. It's not in just some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. Like,
you started that like Invictus.
Right. Okay.
Listen, but the thing, but because it was so powerful to me, and I quoted the Coach Carter version of it. Now there's more of it in the book, but
I love Coach Carter. I watch it every time it come on VH1, like I've never seen it before.
Right. But the thing is, with ourselves, with our relationships, there's affirmations and beliefs that you have to create so much so that they're a part of you. Just like you said, Invictus, the way that you learned, you learn Invictus because the way that you learned Invictus, right? And so you're never going to forget that, and you're going to connect to that because you believe that. Out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I think whatever God's made me from. You believe those words, right? And so, and those things that you want in your life and your relationship and love, like, do you truly believe it? Or are you just talking? Because we have all kinds of little cute anecdotes and pre-written answers for certain questions, but do you really believe it? Because once you begin to believe something, you're gonna start to walk it. And when you walk in it, you're gonna start to talk it. You know what I mean? And it just becomes a part of you, and you become unapologetic. I'm not worried about who I offend with my confidence, because the problem, I get called arrogant because it's in comparison to their own lens of themselves. And so when
Right.
someone tells me, "Oh, you think you the shit," you absolutely right. I do. But guess what? I think you the shit too. There's enough shit to go. Well, how come we can't all be the shit?
There's enough to go around.
There's enough to go. Like
Real talk.
my confidence and my belief in my greatness does not and should not take away from yours.
Right.
It's like it doesn't mean me ascending is not predicated on you descending. Me growing is not predicated on you shrinking. It just doesn't. You see what I'm saying? It's like my greatness and your lack thereof are not mutually exclusive. They can both occur together. And if you want to be friends with me and in my presence, they must occur together.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's another thing. And to that point, why it's so important to, when you're having partner selection, have someone who's going to be receptive to that, right? Because like, how many times growing up have we complimented someone, you know, mainly the case of man to a woman, you'd be like, "Wow, you look beautiful today." You'd be like, "No, I don't." Or you should, you know, like at first it gets cute, but after a while, like, God damn, I'm trying to give you a compliment. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know, hey, Dre, you know me. I'll be like, all right, then you don't. Shit.
Right. And I've been on the other side of that as a woman complimenting a man, and I think you know, we're used to seeing women do it, but you know, for me, that throws me off because I generally see men as more confident and really, and even if they're not who they portray, like they are proficient in projecting the image, right? And so when I meet a man who can't accept a compliment or is, you know, kind of downplays himself, that does not, you know, like,
Yeah,
you know.
it's a turnoff, you know. And,
You can get accidentally knocked down a couple of notches because Dre used to give me. She used to have to.
What?
So
What
we used to work together at one of the schools that I worked at. And she worked for the high school side and I worked for the middle school side. And she would have to check my outfit every day to make sure I was on point and tell me what color I was wearing. Because I'm color, like, you know, men, we see in 8 basic colors. So she's like, "Come here, let me see what color you wear." And I remember one day I had on this green outfit. Like I was green head to toe. I don't know. I'll probably never do that again unless it's like a sweatsuit or something.
It still look nice though.
But it was like a green polo and I had some green jeans or whatever. I was like, okay, I'm matching. I walked to her window. She was like, and I said, no, because I was like, "Hey, you look nice today," because I complimented her. I was like, "You look real nice today." She goes, "Thank you. You look minty." I was like, what the hell does minty mean? Like a damn mint? I look like a mint, like, and not even a peppermint. It's only one of those mints that you put on the damn pillow at the hotel, like the little
the
nasty.
shade.
Yeah, the nasty green mint. I was like, people don't even like them mints.
Like, I bet she was trying her best though. She was like,
yeah.
I'm gonna try to say something nice.
Right. She was like, I think she was commenting on the color, but just what came out was, and it wasn't even what she said, it was the pause before she said it, like she had to think about something to say. It was like, it's almost like, hey, on Boomerang, when Hallie told David on the grill, he was like, "Oh, you look great." She goes, "Oh, you look neat." It was just like that, because you know, I'm feeling myself that day, and I'm like, I look what? And she goes, "Minty."
That was so many years ago, and
Hey.
it feels like yesterday now.
I'm gonna hug my pillow tonight because it came up.
I'm so sorry.
Like she said, she called me Minty. Like, God damn it!
I was reaching. Oh gosh. I'm sorry.
Right, and I never wore that outfit again. Never. I still had the garments. I just never wore them together.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the self-sabotage is real, and like I self-sabotage myself all the time. You know, most times not understanding better, but also because I wasn't allowing myself to feel those emotions. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't allowing myself to have that self-love. And I think to what you were saying, like the arrogance or what you call it, it's a form of self-love. Because you have to show people how to treat you, right? And no one's going to treat you better than you treat yourself.
Absolutely.
So, if you're coming out, you're vibrant, you showing yourself to the world and saying like, hey, this is me, I'm here. That's going to rub off on other people, one, and also when you give it to them, that's going to be a part of the connection as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's real important what you just said, because we can get in these places to where, like, for instance, my ex. So we were in school together, and I took school for granted. Like, academics is child's play to me. I do stuff with my eyes closed. You know what I mean? And where she would have to study harder. So she would be like, we got to study, we got to test, we got to study for it. I'm like, I'm not doing it right now. I don't feel like it. And she's like, well, how you going to pass? I remember, matter of fact, we was taking an anthropology class together, and she studied and studied and studied. And I ain't studied. She was like, when are you going to study? I'm like, whatever. So we get to class, and she's like, did you even study? I was like, no, let me see the paper. And so I looked at it and took the test. She was like, you gonna fail? You how you just go? And I got a better grade than her. I got 100%, and I think she got a C or a B or something like that. She's like, how the fuck? I was like, that's just how my brain works. But because I took it for granted, like, she began to excel, and so she was writing papers. She got in grad school, and I'm helping her with her papers while I'm neglecting my own. I'm trying to do my music thing, really. So I'm like, hey, and so she's ascending, and I'm falling short and not creating that foundation when I should have been, And so when we end up breaking up, I'm in this place, no degree. She's making great money and ascending. And I blamed her for a lot of years. Like, oh, my name need to be on that degree. I helped you get that, blah, 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 blah. And I just wasn't being accountable. Like, my education was not her responsibility. I decided to help her. She would ask for the help, and I would give it to her. I made that choice. Instead of writing my own papers, I'm writing hers. That was me. Now, I can't fault her for somebody. She asked for help. I said yes, and I'm supposed to fault her? She's like, bet. And she'd be over there sleep on the couch while I'm writing her paper, and I got work to do. Instead, like, I played that wrong, and I was mad at her. I'm talking about bitter. And the worst part about it is she wasn't around to hear me be bitter. She out there doing her thing. You know what I mean? And so I had to stop blaming her for my lack of progress, because it was a decision I made. And should I have required certain things from her? Like, hey, I need your support over here. If you don't ask for that, then no, you're not going to get it. You know what I mean? And so it's just a level of accountability. And so then I had to go back and say, you know what, I'm going back to school. I'm going to get mine in 3 degrees later. When I made the plan, because I was like, hey, I'm getting 3 degrees in such and such time, blah, 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 blah. Now, while I didn't meet the deadline, I still met the goal. So I went back and got it, but it had to be all about me. I wanted something different for my life that was not connected to any woman, that was not to connect. You know what I mean? It was about me. And so when you do that and you build yourself up to be about you, then you're going to attract people who did that shit. It's like, oh, you got what? You do this, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And so self-love is more than looking at yourself in a certain aspect. Like, they say that love is an action. So if you're in a relationship, you can't just tell her, I love you. She want to see what you're going to do for her, right?
Right.
Same applies for you. Don't look in that mirror and say, hey, I love you. You're great. And then you don't go out and do great shit. Love is an action. It's a verb. So what are you going to go do for you because you love you? And that's pursuing that thing. That's getting that degree. That's, bettering yourself. That's working out and being healthy and eating properly and everything else. Like all the things that you need to do to preserve you. And somebody's going... Get you a woman that catches you in the act of loving yourself. You see what I'm saying?
Ain't nothing better.
Because
where the sound effects at? Where the
be about your
flex bomb at?
Yeah, right.
When she let her be able to look at him over there loving himself. Because that's good. That's indicative of, damn, he can probably love me like that. You can't give nobody what you can't. Like, how you gonna go to, girl, I'm gonna love you like this, but you don't love yourself. You have no love to give because you don't give it to you. You haven't filled yourself up with love enough to give it to her. And furthermore, don't just wait till you in a certain place. Be on the path and let her catch you on the path. But there is a woman that will help you. Like, everybody has baggage, and a lot of times it's about finding someone who's willing to help you unpack. You see what I'm saying? It's like, hey, you have this? Here, give it to me. You know what I mean? Let me help you with that. And it takes strength to allow someone to do that. You know what I mean? You can't do it by yourself. If lean on your friends, lean on, like, help, use the people in your circle. If people truly love you, they'll help you unpack. And you got people all over your posts, like, nerd, like, oh my God, hey, these people want to see you grow. You know what I mean? And so I want to see you change the tone of your post, change the tone of, like, because I'm telling you, it's not them. It's not the women out here. It's not. It's you. Are there women out there like you described? Absolutely. But what we start doing is giving credence to the insignificant minority. Because when we respond the way that we respond to it, what we're saying is this is how the majority of women act or exist, and that's not true. We're allowing the few that do that to speak for the majority. And if it were the other side, we take exception. So when women be like, oh, niggas ain't shit, or these LA men, blah blah blah. As a man, you don't even live in LA, but as a man from LA, you take exception to that. Right. You see what I'm saying? What you mean these LA men? But if the shoe don't fit, don't put it on, right? Right. You're personalizing it because you recognize it in you. You know, if it ain't you, it's not even gonna bother you. And I do the same thing. Twitter fingers get to going. You know what I mean? But then I had to realize I'm personal. Like that's not me. So why am I taking it personally? And here's the thing: I'll get annoyed with women that I'm not even attracted to. Right. Like I don't want, and
that's when I come in like, it is not even worth it because like you wouldn't talk to her.
I'm going back and forth, right? Yeah, I'm going back and forth with a woman who I don't even want anyway. Yeah, because it used to be this crusade, so I do it a lot less now. Sometimes I get weak, and I'm like, what, girl? You know, because I know they won't be able to engage with me, and I get this morbid sense of satisfaction of making people look silly when they say certain things, and I need to work on that. But like before we do it, you got to ask why. At the end of all of this, right? And these exchanges could go on for hours. It'd be 81 comments, and how much time have you wasted going back and forth with somebody? And at the end, have you changed their mind? Chances are you haven't. You haven't, because they're not operating from a place of logic or from a sense of wanting to learn. It's trying to prove a point or to be right because they already feel a certain way. You know what I mean? So when they've already decided the end game before they ever made the comment. So anything you say, you just blowing smoke. So we have to ask ourselves, what's the benefit of this? And at the end, how much time have I spent that I could have been doing something to be edifying to myself, to put myself in position for that woman that I actually do want? Because I start going to, like, this is the pettiest thing. Like, you ever be arguing with somebody and you go to their profile, start looking at their picture, like, you ain't even, this has nothing to do with the conversation, but we literally go, you ain't even cute though. like your point is mute because you're not attractive. So you shouldn't even have an opinion. Like, it's not fair and it's dumb, but we do it. I'm like, that's why you saying that, because you ugly.
My God.
You know what I mean? So y'all, we gonna move into our final thoughts. Like, Nerd, I want to thank you, bro. Like, this has been awesome, so much so that we had to do 2 episodes. I'm hoping everybody was able to gain something from this, to find some perspective of this. I really want to thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your experience. That's
for having me.
Yeah, it's that's great. So, Dre, final thoughts.
Well, you asked a question probably about half an hour ago, but I don't think I got a chance to answer it, which was, how hard is it to receive that kind of love? It was somewhere way back, and I kept waiting.
Wait, I asked the question and just kept talking.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if you still want the answer or not.
Hey,
but
y'all, I'm sorry. I blacked out on this topic. I'm sorry. People probably gonna be so annoyed by this one. Like, will he shut up? Damn. Look, I'm probably gonna get annoyed with myself editing.
We all have the things that we're passionate about. But general final thoughts again. Yes, thanks, Nerd, for coming in and being willing to share and then go deeper, right? Because we started just like, hey, can we use your post? And then we wound up really asking you to open parts of yourself that maybe you didn't expect to share today. So we really appreciate that, and for helping our listeners and viewers to kind of figure that out for themselves. So we hope that this was helpful. Generally, wow, I would just kind of tie this all up in saying that you can have whatever you like, right? But it's going to take some diligence to find it. And then also you have to be willing to be the person that you need to be to attract that. And I believe that was said before. I don't remember what conversation I was in. I think it was just a group of friends. Oh, one of my prayer circles. So we were talking about, making this list, for whoever it is that you want to attract. Not for me, because I've already attracted. But this young lady was saying, she had a list, and in a moment of prayer or whatever, she had the thought of like, oh my gosh, would this man be attracted to me as is right now? And it was like this powerful moment where everybody was like, dang, because like, you don't want to think of yourself like that. You want to think of yourself as deserving and worthy of whatever it is that you have put out into the atmosphere. But I think it's equally important to stop and go, wait, this man exists. And I believe he does. If he saw me, or if he knew what my life looked like, or if he encountered me, would he even want to rock with me? And if not, who do I need to become so that I can attract that person, or that once we're together, that is sustainable. And so I think that's important for us to be introspective in that manner. What you want and who you want doesn't have to want you just because you want them or you want those qualities. Generally, there is some sort of attraction, whether it is to fill in the gaps, if that's the whole opposites attract situation, or if it's like attracts like, but you got to bring something to the table. And so I definitely would wrap with that. Bring something to the table.
Right. I don't think I deserve final thoughts for this episode.
Yeah, you already got like 10 flex bombs.
I think they've heard enough from me. So we gonna leave it at what Dre said. All right. So with that, y'all, this has been The Crossroads. We want to thank y'all for tuning in. And as always, remember, be free to be you.
We want to thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and register for our email list for more episodes and projects from your hosts, Barzini and Dre Renee. Until next time, this has been the Crossroads Podcast. And remember, be free to be you.